Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, December 16, 2025. So we start off with Gwen and Rita. So Rita is already aware of what's going on with the current events, EJ's disappearance, and she's just there to talk business with Gwen. She's saying like, regardless of what's going on with EJ, I still have to make sure that the mission goes on in his honor, right? So I am going to be in charge until, he is back where he needs to be. So she talks to Gwen about, who was behind ratting out Rolf staying at the Mere Mansion. She said that EJ thought it was Leo. However, she doesn't think, Leo would do that. And she's just asking Rita to not go after Leo as EJ would want. And, Rita is saying, look, I have to follow the person who signs my paycheck. I have to do what he wants me to do. And she said she understands, but she wants to go after Leo herself. The revenge, it's personal, and she wants to go after him because he, betrayed her in the worst way. So Rita understands the whole need for revenge. And she said, okay, cool, right? We just have to just, continue our mission regardless. So Rafe comes in, and Rafe, is investigating further about each disappearance. So Rita is saying, look, we have nothing more to say. Jada was already here, and he said, yeah, I'm aware of that, but I still want to know, where's the key for the crypt. So Rita said, EJ had that sealed up many years ago, there's no key. So Ray said, well, that's too damn bad. You got to get a key, or you got to unseal it off or whatever. So she said, okay, I will get on it. So he said, let me know when you do so that I can come back and investigate. So he leaves, and Rita said, police is all talk, and, they're all about delays, and we don't have the time for that. So somebody was saying that they think that Rita and Rolf could be behind this. It could be a possibility. But let's see how it goes because, as she said, she's been loyal to the family for decades, and that's when Stefano was also around. So let's see what really happened. Now, Kat also spoke with Mark and basically telling him that, look, EJ has disappeared. Like, you sure don't want to talk to me about what you've been involved in with him, including the lab and all that? So he says, no, you don't need to worry about me. I'm not the same nerdy science geek at high school, right? I know to take care of myself, and I'm not in anything shady. And she said, like, you really don't want to go back to jail, so please make sure that you're not in anything shady, right? Now, Paulina pays Johnny and Chanel a visit and basically tells them, hey, EJ has been missing. And Johnny doesn't know how to take this thing because even though he's furious at his father, he's not talking to his father, he still cares about him. And he goes to the room to check in on Trey in a moment. So Chanel is worried about Johnny and thinking how she can support him because she doesn't like the man. She doesn't like her father-in-law. So Paulina says she understands, but look, you are Johnny's rock, and if anybody knows how to be there for him, it's you, right? So he comes back out and he asks Paulina some questions because she asks, what can she do more? So he said that, why are they targeting my family? Like 5 Demira members have been, declared missing. What are they after? Money, power, the family business. So Paulina cannot, be certain what they're after, but she's going to let them know once she hears any more news, and she has to get back to Abe. And, Johnny and Chanel gave them their love and, prayers that he will come back safely as well. So at some point, Chanel asks, hey, is there anything that I can do? And Johnny just said, just be there. Moments later, Rita comes and pays Johnny a visit and basically asks him, hey, the Demira company is underwater right now. We need somebody to represent, be the CEO. And Johnny is hesitant about that, and because of just the nature of it all. And Rita said, look, I'm not taking no for an answer. So like I'm gonna come in, we're gonna talk until there's a resounding yes, right? So I'm just saying if Xander and Philip really want to take control of things or take control of business, they need to go after the mayor because they're very um delicate right now, very sensitive right now. So if they want to strike while the iron is hot, they need to do it right now. So Rita is definitely serving main character today because she was on a roll and she did talk to Kat as well, and basically to just brief her on what's happening with EJ's disappearance, and that regardless of that, we still gotta keep up the business, we still gotta keep her head above water. And she tells Kat that she will let her know anything that is happening regarding, his disappearance. And she expects the same from Kat as well. And Kat said, yeah, but she's just really suspicious of Rita. And what business is she really involved in when it comes on to EJ's business, right? But Gabby and Javi had it out because, Gabby's not happy with what Javi did. He basically ratting her out to Rafe. And she's saying, like, you don't trust me. Like, after all I've done to you, I've, let you stay here. I've given you a job. I've been a great cousin to you. Like, why would you do this to me? And he said, it's not really personal. It's just that, the mirrors have been missing. And I just wanted to, give Rafe any information. And she said, really? Like, you would do that? And, it makes me wonder, like, would you even tell him what I did to get back my company from Tony? And, basically deceiving Philip and Xander in the process. So, before Happy could answer, Leo comes in, and Leo said that, look, yeah, I'm not at work because, there's no reason to go to work. Chad is missing, but, I couldn't help overhear something. And furthermore, like, he didn't tell me anything because she did mention something about, Harvey gossiping to his gossip columnist fiance, whatever. And he said that he didn't tell me. You did, actually. So, Javi is asking Leo not to, just to pretend like he didn't hear nothing. So I said, okay, for you, I will. But, my inquisitive self is still wondering, like, how did you get the company away from Philip and Xander? Like, what did you have to do in order to get back your company from Tony? So Gabby doesn't want to tell neither of them anything. That's when Ari comes in because they were supposed to have a family meal, and then, Ari could tell that, things were really tense between everybody, and she asked what's going on, and Javi said nothing. So that's when Javi and Leo, said that they're gonna go outside, right? So Ari asks, her mom what's really going on. Did she want to tell her what's going on? So she said no, it's not worth it, right? So she just turns around the conversation, asks her what she's been up to since school, and she said that she's been looking for internships, and it didn't really work out at Titan at all. So, she's sorry to hear that, but she's also told her mom that, Grandma Kate was able to talk to a few people and she may be working at the mayor. So Gabby is angry about it because she doesn't want her to be working at the mayor at all. It's a snake pit, and she's know what it's like because she used to work there. And Ari's like, you used to own the company and you used to live at the mansion. So she said, yeah, and I can tell you firsthand that experience was not really good, and I would not want a daughter of mine to be working there at all. And Ari said, look, like, you can't be controlling me at all. Like, I'm grown enough to make my own decisions. And she said, as long as you're under this roof, like, I have a say so in where you're gonna work, and you are not gonna work over there. And I'm just saying, like, Gabby, she's 18. Even if she lives under your household, like, give her a little space to find out for herself what working for the company is, because when you do that, you're alienating her, and basically she is going to do it anyways, right? So let her find out, and, like, you can come around and say, yeah, I told you so. Like, kids gonna do what they're gonna do. And as a parent, I definitely understand. As a child myself, and being told no and having to find out the hard way, yeah, you gotta just let them do what they have to do, or what they intend to do, because they're gonna do it behind your back regardless, right? So Rave also speaks with Kat because Kat wanted to see him to talk about what's been happening, and he said it's not a good time, but he said, make time for it, it's urgent. So he comes to the hospital, and she talks to him about how come he never briefed her on what's going on with EG. And he said, like, look, after the first time when you drugged them and nearly jeopardized our investigation, like, I had to make sure that I had to deal with this on my own. And Kat wasn't happy about it, but he said, look, it is what it is, right? So I need to talk to Mark, see what he knows about this lab, and the connections, right? So Kat said she had to talk to him, and he said that he didn't do anything suspicious or unscrupulous, and Rafe is saying, let's see about that, right? So he did go to speak with Mark at some point. We'll get into that. He did come back out, and how he did ask Kat, like, It seems like he doesn't know anything, like, see no evil, hear no evil kind of thing. So Kat said, look, I told you, like, he's not into nothing shady. And he said, like, how much do you trust him? So he said, he hasn't given me any doubts. Like, he hasn't raised no doubts for me not to trust him, right? So anyways, he said that he still has to do some more investigation. She said, like, look, I get you're angry with me about messing up earlier, but like we're in this together and we have to figure this out. Like it or not, I'm gonna be around, so it might as well we work together, right? Now, when he visited Mark at the secret lab, he asked him point blank, like, is he up to anything shady with EJ? And he said, no, I'm just, testing lab rats and all that. It's pretty standard things I'm doing here. So he said, it better be, because if I get wind that you're into something shady, unscrupulous, evil, nefarious, whatever, you're going to be really sorry about it, and also lying to FBI agent, that will definitely revoke your parole, right? You don't want that at all, right? So he comes out, and Mark sees Dr. Ruff, and he asks Dr. Ruff who's in the tube, and Dr. Ruff is like, no questions, don't ask me much questions, Mark, just roll what we're doing, because whether or not EJ is on an island or he's in a cement mixture, we still got to carry on with the mission. Now, Leon and Javi are talking about what happened at the house earlier with Gabby, and he just said, look, like, at the end of the day, just act as if you didn't hear anything. And Leah's like, Gabby who? So Gwen came in, I guess she heard some of the conversation, and she quoted something from I guess an early century scholar, Pascal, whatever his name is. So she basically is telling Leah to just, be glad that EJ is missing. And they didn't know this. It was unbeknownst to them that he's missing. And she said, yeah, so you better be lucky, because if he was around, you would have to pay for snooping around. And basically, you need to just mind your own business, stop snooping around, or else you might be in any kind of danger and you won't be able to marry your fiance. And Javi's like, ooh, we're shaking in our boots. And, Leo's not scared at all. And he said, look, I'm still going to investigate, because this is definitely an article worth writing. And especially about what I know about you and EJ's conversation at the gala. So he said, she's acting dumb, like, okay, what do you think you heard? So he said, like, I heard something about a delivery. Was it pizza, mozzarella sticks? What was it about? So she said, she didn't even know what to come up with. So he's like, save it, right? I'm gonna find out exactly what's going on with you, and you're not gonna like it, right? So anyways, guys, this was it for today's episode. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Let me know. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.